So hello everybody, this is me, as you also see now. In a happier place in Thailand, actually, that's why I was smiling. Now I'm a lot more cold. But jokes aside, I'm Wim. I'm a software engineer, freelance software engineer, Java software engineer with about 7 years of experience. Really like my job, but I also like reading about IT, learning about IT, trying to write a bit about IT. I have a website where I try to blog a little bit, but it's a difficult challenge sometimes. And I try to speak also a little bit, but that's also a difficult challenge. So this is actually my second time presenting. I already presented for the BJUC once, and this is a joint edition. And what I'm going to be talking about is basically what I've been doing the past few months, which is vibe coding. I know it's a very fancy overused term, on the Raspberry Pi, and trying to really lean into that AI native development and see if all the hype holds up. The results may not surprise you. But yeah, one thing was when I sent it to Tom, I actually had a difficult time finding a title for the talk. So I was like to AI, because I default sometimes to AI, just like generate me some stuff. Maybe find like a nice title for my presentation. And actually, I didn't notice this, it generated Raspberry Pi with one R, and it actually made me think, well, it made Tom think about this one thing where an AI is very, very good apparently at a lot of things, but it still doesn't know how many R's are in the word strawberry. And apparently it also only puts one R in Raspberry Pi. Jokes aside, I'll try to get into the talk now, but I have to give you a little bit of LLM history, because a lot of things have happened since the launch of ChatGPT. And I was kind of surprised by this, but before ChatGPT there was actually Copilot, which I kind of completely forgot about, which was basically a glorified autocomplete, a semantic autocomplete, let's say, followed by ChatGPT, as we all know. But then I grew in love with Claude, which is basically already marketed a bit more to the knowledge worker, and I vibed more with the model. All those tools have been hyped up. All those tools work to some extent, but what really kicked stuff off on social media, in my opinion, is when they started releasing these agentic AI tools like Codex and Claude Code. Don't know if a lot of people already used Claude Code or Codex. I think most, yeah. It's kind of a no-brainer, I think, but a lot of people have used that. And that's kind of a nice thing, because what I used to do in ChatGPT is, like, when I want to generate some tests or whatever, I copy-paste like a clause and say, generate some tests for this. And that was kind of a nice use case for AI, and then you verify, and then, yeah, the grunt work of writing tests was easier that way, but it was a kind of a nuisance, because you had to go in your IDE, you copy-paste the code, then you go into some web interface and post that in. And now everything basically stays in the terminal. You can just use some Unix pipelines, grep, find, ls, all those dumb little tools, but when you chain them together, and the software acts like an agent, it kind of becomes something, let's say, semi-smart. But it starts off great, but what I found when I first started using it around May last year is that converges towards error. So it starts off great, but it just, like, as the task goes on longer and longer, it just becomes bad, basically. But I feel like they started shifting their models towards this, like, long conversation style usage. And those things became better and better. The models got improved. There were some UX improvements as well. There's some nice MCPs that I use, the AWS Playwright MCP, which allows you to stay in your terminal even longer. Context 7 is a nice one. I don't know if a lot of people know that one, but it makes you be able to fetch up-to-date documentation all the time at will. For instance, if in Spring Boot you have these ancient documentations where the training data got cut off somewhere in 2022 or whatever, and it would serve you this very out-of-date documentation, basically. And these kind of things were onboarded in Claude Code and made it get better and better. So as I told you, 2026 or late 2025, that's the peak of the agentic AI hype for me personally. That's how I felt it on X, on LinkedIn, wherever. Everybody was just like making these grandiose statements just for some engagement. Statements like AI agents can handle long-running coding tasks, mostly unsupervised now. Just get a coffee and just like do whatever, basically. What I also heard a lot was you just don't have to pay for your own apps anymore. You can just roll out your own bespoke ones. Bespoke meaning just the functionality you need, nothing more, nothing less, no bloat. This kind of resonated with me. And then the last one, which I also heard a lot, is handwriting code is a thing of the past. You might refine the process together with an AI, but handwriting is a thing of the past. And I was like, okay, I'm using it a lot in my day-to-day job. I'm definitely seeing improvements. I'm not an AI hater by any chance. I think I've tried to keep up, and I do see the benefit. But I still feel like, I'm kind of missing out. I'm not completely on board with what all these people are saying. But I'm still at my job, you know, so I'm liable if shit hits the fan, so I can't just like vibe code my way into production. Yeah, that would be a dumpster fire. I think I have my guardrails / colleagues, which exist for a reason, but in that environment, obviously it's necessary, and they hold you back with, of course, with their reasoning, because they're also very smart software engineers. And you have tooling limitations as well. Some people can't use Claude Code, or you're bound by projects or the enterprise imagination, which is sometimes a bit lackluster. So take these claims, take the fact that I want to validate them, preferably all at once, and that's when you end up with a Raspberry Pi next to my onions and potatoes, basically. I upgraded. I'm sorry, guy, I really don't want to upset you, but I upgraded it. I made a case for it, or I ordered a case for it with a cooler. It's still next to my onions and potatoes, but at least it's a bit sheltered from the elements. So yeah, that's the plan. Just do that. Don't look at the code, just vibe, man, with Claude and see how far it'll take me. And then it's a way to validate all claims at once, or deny them. So the idea of what I wanted to do was basically a calorie tracker. That's what I wanted to start out with, because I'm very obsessed with running lately, and I want to track my macros to see if I have enough protein, basically, and I just want to eat enough protein. So I just want to do a simple one where I see some trends, and I can just AI input my meals, and then it would just do some magic and give me the macros. And that works surprisingly well, actually, even if it's just an LLM. I did some experiments where I hooked it to an actual food API, and the results were kind of comparable. But that aside, self-hosted on the Pi, I want to be in control of my own data, obviously. Accessible anywhere, so even when I'm not home, also my phone, I've got the server running now. Secure, obviously, it's my own data, and mobile friendly also. So what that means is I just install them as a progressive web app. You can install a manifest, and then you can just install it on your phone. Technologies, Java, of course, because that's the best language ever, and we're the Java user group. It's also just a typed language, and typed languages, I think, are the best option in this AI age, let's say, because it's an extra safety step, because you have the compiler already, helping you kick out some errors. Spring and HTMX. Spring, everybody probably knows HTMX. A lot of people also. HTMX, because it's basically just HTML with a little bit of with a little bit of things that HTML, in a lot of people's opinion, miss. And you can do a lot of things with it. And a nice thing about that is that you don't have a build step. I know React, I know Angular, and they can be kind of simple, but it's an extra build step. I don't want to do all of that stuff. Keep it simple, safe, robust, with lots of LLM training data, because as we know, Spring is very well documented. And I also already mastered these. That's a very important step. If things go wrong, which I kind of assume they would be, I'm able to jump in and fix them. And that's my way of working then. So I'm a Claude fanboy. And let's say I will only use the best model, because I hear the best model is what you have to do. I started out with Opus 4.5, and then I switched to 4.6 when they released that. I only use YOLO mode, so I just accept everything it throws at me in a safe environment, in a safe sandboxed environment, of course. But yeah. And then my personal style is how I use AI is I heavily leverage plan mode, but I use it in a structured way. I don't use all these spec-driven development ways of doing it. I kind of internalize it already when I'm doing the software development life cycle. I just take what's in my brain, spit it out to the LLM, and the reason why I like Claude Code is because he can fill in the gaps for me, and we can refine on the plan until we're satisfied, until the plan is very thorough, fills all the gaps. Then I accept the plan, I clear all the existing context so he can start off with a blank slate. I get a coffee, do whatever, and I come back 20 minutes later. That's nice. But the problem is I ran out of Claude Code tokens using the 20 euro per month subscription very, 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 very fast. So I had to upgrade to Claude Max, which is 100 euros a month. But I'm an independent, so yeah. On the company, but it's for my job, so no I deserve it. Anyway, initial architecture, that's how I started it out, very simple. I've got the internet here, I've got a tunnel via Cloudflare that exposes something on my Raspberry Pi. I have an app manager, which basically proxies all requests to other applications. The first application that I had was just a calorie tracker, basically. But I envisioned more apps, so authentication was there, exposed only this application via Cloudflare, and then I had Tailscale also, which is basically just a VPN. So I could just SSH into the Raspberry Pi, check the logs, debug all that stuff. But that's only accessible for me. The other one is open to the internet. But then I did this, and then to the surprise of no one, when this became this application, and I'll show you in a minute, when this application became more than a trivial application, I was just fixing the same bugs every single time. And I felt like I was going forward, I was going backward, progress is all over the place. And I also didn't know what the code base was like. So to me, it's just like not programming anymore. It's basically just spinning a slot machine and then hoping you get 3 sevens in a row, hit the jackpots. It's not programming for me. Because there's no structure, there's no architecture, and the way these things work is they have a lot of training data, but they just average, they regress towards the mean of what is in their data set. And if you don't give any structure to that, you'll just get a giant ball of mud, an unstructured mess that you won't be able to do anything with. There's also no good test suite. AI generates tests, but sometimes these tests are self-fulfilling. They're just like tests which are just like if one, then assert true, and oh, okay, yeah. This test will be okay, but it's just a worthless test. And then if you don't have a good test suite, you don't have a nice self-correcting feedback loop. You can't just run your AI against a test suite, helping it correct itself. It's the single most important thing if you want a good AI agent to work for you. So how did I fix those things? I will show you in a second, but first I want to give you just a demo of the calorie tracker. This is my app manager. There's a lot of information there. There's some diagnostics too. I'm up to 8 apps at the moment. I'll see how many I can show you, but I'll start with the calorie tracker just to show you that it's not a trivial application by any means. There's a few profiles actually. I onboarded a few of my friends when I explained it to them. I still have to log in. I hope I don't have a problem with the demo gods, please. Oh God, no. Because then that would be a big issue. Maybe I don't have internet anymore. No, it's still up. I just have to wait a little bit. I don't know why one password is not auto-filling. No. Yeah, admin and then an actual, it's not admin, so don't go try that.
Maybe it's password.
No, it's not admin password or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can try if you want to. Try and hack into it. It's just Spring authentication. And then basic authentication. Maybe I missed something, but I think I can secure a web server. But I might eat my words in a bit. Okay.
In a room full of
This sucks. I should have maybe taken some screenshots. I don't know why it's not working.
Did you push something today?
No, I didn't push anything. Maybe the AI is acting autonomously or something. God, this is annoying. I'm going to give it one more try, and if not, I'm just going to show another application. Okay, and then please go here. Okay, good, we're here. God. This is my profile. I can log my weight, I can log my meals, I can log my activities, I can log pretty much anything. Weight and meals. Let's just show you a meal. Let's say I had some, well, not for breakfast, I had some pizza for dinner. And then we can estimate the calories. Yes, today apparently it works. It estimates a slice of pizza, estimates the carbs and all that stuff, and then you can save the meal. Let's save the meal. And then I can see some trends, some charts. You just have to trust me on that one. There's some charts. Activity, this is nice. I can enter my runs, but it's also connected through my Strava, which is a social media running app, which exposes an API, and I sync that with my Strava every half hour, so I don't have to do that because, manual work. And then I also have, which is a nice one, I think, I have a metabolism analysis where I can input my current weight, my goal weight, and then basically, based on my weight, it'll kind of calculate, and based on my meals, it kind of calculates how much calories I need to take for metastasis, let's call it, where status quo, and yeah, less or more calories, because if you eat less calories, obviously you're going to lose weight. So all in all, it did become quite an intricate application, in my opinion. It's an application that has around 10,000 lines of code, which for a hobby project is not that bad, I think, and for a one-man project. But we did have to, or I did have to put some framework into place, and these are kind of ordered by importance. The tests I already talked about, refactoring over complicated code, well, that's a no-brainer also. I don't know if a lot of people know package by feature instead of package by layer. Raise of hands if you know. Okay, not a lot. Some people know, but maybe not all. But package by feature is basically in contrast to package by layer, where you would store your, for instance, your controllers in one package, your services in another package, and your presentation layer or whatever in another package. And they would all just be in those technical organization if they don't even if they don't have any functional cohesion. You would actually structure your application according to your functional bounds. So for instance, my activities, and inside my activities, I have my Strava integration and all of that good stuff. And what I found is that doing this actually limits the context of the LLM a lot more, because it can just find, if you say there's a bug in my activities, it's just going to find and load in that code in its context, and not load in the other crap. Pruning that code is also important. Actually, I found something on LinkedIn yesterday. It's an AI study, which take that with a grain of salt. All these studies, I don't know what to think about those, but adding code that never runs reduced bug detection accuracy to 20%, which I kind of find not that hard to believe, because an AI can't really, I think, reliably know which code is dead and which isn't. It just loads everything in the context, and those things get added into the context. There's a few other things. There's a template app where I basically, all the architectural decisions that I made in CalTracker, all those things that I talked about, I basically put it in a small to-do app with all the architecture, and I just pointed Claude to it and say, make an app and use that template app as a starting point. And that's also a very nice way to onboard applications. You can also use Claude MD, but I would not put that much effort into that. Just maybe some gotchas, some things you always see him doing wrong, but just don't overdo it, because code is still the best reference in my opinion. But again, this is my personal experience. And it's funny because I see this now on LinkedIn. I see this nice terminology being called like harness engineering or LLM guardrails, and I understand that like it's not completely the same. It's in the context of AI, but all of these things that we just talked about is just being a responsible software engineer that writes maintainable code. So we really like to reinvent terminology, but these are just good software practices from before LLMs, and you should have already been doing this, in my opinion. We talked about the app manager. That's a meta layer that also handles authorization. And then the apps have Spring Actuator exposed for their lifecycle events. They just get registered, convention over configuration. Deployment is standardized, all that stuff, so I don't have to worry about that. So it's very easy to onboard an app if it's just registered in the service registry in a very easy way. So I have all this structure in place, and then that's when things started to get a bit out of hand. There's a very big ease of planning features. Every stupid idea that I have when I'm on the toilet, on the shower, I'm like, oh, I have to write this down, and then I just start a Claude Code agent, and then 20 minutes later, it produces a semi-reliable result. Sometimes I'm just waiting on agents anyway, and I have to fill my time anyway, so I have like 3 or 4 agents running at the same time. I have this same problem at my work now too, actually. And then every stupid little idea I had, and then this is what we came up with. This is the app manager. These are 8 separate applications. I've got 3 libraries. I've got a Strava Spring Boot starter. I've got an Actuator client starter. 3.12, I'll get to that, and then a Notify server that pushes notifications to my phone. I'll get to that too. So some more, very intricate architecture. I have hopefully some time to show a few applications. I'll be very, very fast. One is the vocabulary learner. And it's kind of sad that there's no e-reader integration with this. I wish there was a nice e-reader that I could program things for. But basically, when I don't know what a word means, instead of trying to look it up and then forgetting it, you can use spaced repetition. For instance, the word ubiquitous. I made a Chrome extension that posts to this endpoint, and let's hope it gets there. Okay, it got there, nice. And then I can manage my cards. And then I have a flip card where it says ubiquitous, and then I have to find the definition. And then there's spaced repetition, and then first you repeat it after 1 day, after 1 week, and then the science says that spaced repetition is a very good way to learn. And the funny thing is, I've never written a Chrome extension before, and I just let it generate, and it kind of worked one shot. I don't know anything about this code base, but it's a relatively simple application. It works, but it's very simple. It works. It's fine. It's sending my data to the CIA. No, it's not true. Notification server, that's a funny one. And I don't know if I should admit this, but my hairdresser is apparently very, very sought after. And I always have an issue finding an appointment with this guy. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to see if I can make a server that basically notifies on my phone. Yeah, okay. I'm a bit vain, okay? If this guy has an appointment, basically, sometimes people cancel at the last minute, and this guy's on 312.be, which is basically like a hairdresser salon, whatever the hell website where you can do that stuff. And I was like, the first initial idea that I had was like, okay, well, I will just maybe scrape that website, because I tried to find Threadwell API, and I was like, oh, there's no API. So I said, oh, fuck, I'll have to do web scraping. It's going to be unreliable as hell. But the thing is, Claude actually reverse engineered their internal API. They have an internal API because they use a single page application. And the library that I use uses that internal API. I didn't open source it because then I looked in terms of service, can I use that? And I was like, no, you cannot. And I was like, okay, well, it's a hobby project, so they won't mind. So if that guy has an available slot for me before, what is it, 22 April, I get a notification on my phone. So that's quite nice, I think. One more, Strava statistics. That's for my, also I one-shotted that application. It's not quite one-shotted, but with a little bit of iteration, Claude was able to do that. Strava stats, which is kind of, in my opinion, a complicated application. But the nice thing is, because that structure was in place already from the calorie tracker, because I already used activities from Strava, I was able to get it going reliably well. This is basically like the heat map from Strava, where you have to pay for. I don't want to pay for Strava. I just have it myself. So all the runs I do in Brussels, for instance, are in here. In every single country, I can have some charts about my pace, how my pace is improving and stuff like that, my activities too. And I can also export all my activities and then put them in Claude and say, hey man, how is my fitness going? Please give me some compliments, you know. Or be brutally honest, you know. Because they try to like compliment you a bit too much, these AIs. I think they should be a bit more rude to you sometimes. So yeah, lots of quirky apps. There's a few more, but some don't work so reliably. Oh, first the numbers, 5,000 lines of code, more or less, 10K in the calorie tracker, 8 apps, 3 libraries, 223 Claude conversations, and I would estimate over 2 or 3 months I spent like 30 hours, 20 hours in total? I don't know, rough estimation. Simple applications versus complex applications, I don't know anything about the code, or I know a lot about the code. These are the applications that just work because they're very simple. The vocabulary learner, for instance, and the notification server that I showed you. Robust because I have a deep knowledge about it, and I think they're quite complicated. The calorie tracker in the app manager, because that's very technical, and then the Strava stats a bit below because it can reuse some stuff from the calorie tracker. I tried my hand at creating another meta application where I basically had the idea of talking with voice notes and just saying log a meal for in the app tracker and whatever. But a hardware limitation, a Raspberry Pi is not able to reliably use the Whisper server, I think, to transcribe the model. I think I have to buy some more better hardware. It works for my Mac though, but yeah, that's a machine that has a bit more capability than a Raspberry Pi. But those are fragile because I don't have any knowledge. They're quite complex, so they just don't work. So don't touch this zone. Try and find some apps that are just easy and just work, and then for the complicated ones, you have to know what you're talking about. And then, if you still like looking at code with deep knowledge and with simple applications, you can also do that. I don't have any examples here, but yeah, I needed to have a quadrant. AI agents can handle long-running coding tasks, mostly unsupervised. That was the first claim. Yes, but, so that's why I put it in orange. I think so, yes, but if there's a framework in place, and depending on which task you're doing, I'm going to tie it to my job. For instance, what I really like to do, these long, big scale refactorings, the boring refactors where it's very mechanically easy to do it, but nobody ever wanted to do it because it just takes forever. If you give them a good example of how you refactor, these things are okay, but very novel, deep context work, it's a bit of an iffy one, that one. No need to pay for your own apps anymore. It depends on which app, but I think it's a very nice time to be a tinkerer because I used to always have these ideas and I like to code, but I don't. It's a lot of time which I didn't have. But these are just things you can like generate out in the meantime, and then you. There's a very fast feedback loop, so it's very motivating. And then handwriting code is a thing of the past. In this example, I would fully say yes, because even though I did this refactoring cycle in my applications, I looked through the code, even though I was doing the refactoring, I was not doing it manually because I was just saying to the AI, this is wrong, here's what I want, like some sort of small example of how I want the code to evolve, and then I refine on that, and then I let the AI do it. I'm not sure if it's. Sometimes it's probably a bit faster to still handwrite code, but I have to kind of agree with this on the hobby side. On the enterprise side, I still handwrite code sometimes. It depends on the challenge. If it's just like another CRUD endpoint, I think that also holds up. It depends a bit. You also want obviously a bigger quality control when you're actually using your job, actually doing your job. Some other takeaways, and this is kind of true in my job too, I don't really use a lot of my IDE anymore. I live a lot in my terminal, refactorings as well. I think there's some opportunity there, and JetBrains, for instance, creators of IntelliJ are already experimenting with this. They released something called Air, which is kind of like an agentic IDE. I haven't tried it out yet. Conductor and Cursor are kind of like also examples of this, but I didn't like them so much. There's a lot of cognitive debt now. There's 50,000 lines of code, so it's a big challenge to still have context, but you can get that context back by refactoring. That's what I used to do when I started out. When I wanted to learn a new code base, I did something called
learning by refactoring, which is looking at the code and trying to improve it a little bit while you're doing it. And now you do the same thing, you just get ownership back by refactoring. Context switching fatigue is a big one that I had a lot, and you have to also take care not to burn yourself out. It's kind of like a slot machine, but it's addicting, and it's your brain is never off, it seems. So we have to take care of ourselves also. I think I will stop it there. There's some things I didn't try, but there's a lot of things I didn't try, and I think it's a nice segue into ending the talk. And voila, that's it. Thank you.
There was some pizza left, so let's take a short break.